Hi, my name is Anne. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about a not so very new release you might have heard about before, which is The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. Fellowship of the Ring is of course the first book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Everyone seems to have read these books or seen the films or both, and up until recently I hadn't. So I'm still a bit of a Lord of the Rings newbie, and I figured I'd make a video about my thoughts. After saying I would read Lord of the Rings for years and years, I finally promised my friend, who is a huge Lord of the Rings fan, to read at least The Fellowship of the Ring this year. And a month ago or so I finally did read Fellowship, and I have a lot of thoughts. I also saw the film. I saw it yesterday actually, so it's still fresh in my memory, and I have a lot of thoughts on that as well. So I figured I would do a book versus film review. I did actually see all three of the films about 8 years ago now, I think, but I saw all three of them, I think even the extended editions, in one night, and that seems to have been a bit of information overload because I don't remember anything. It's really weird, but it's a complete blank for me. I did remember one thing, which is the thing that happens to one of the characters in the Fellowship of the Ring in the Mines of Moria, which is a pretty big thing. So that was spoiled for me for this book and this film, which was a bit of a bummer, but that's really all I remembered. Anyway, let's talk about the book first. After finishing it, I had a really hard time deciding my rating for this book, but in the end I decided to go for a 3.5 stars. 3.5 isn't really that high of a rating, and I have my reasons for that, which I'll explain now. This is one of the most famous books in history, and with The Lord of the Rings, Tolkien laid the groundwork for all of the fantasy books we are now collectively enjoying and fangirling about in the bookish community. What Tolkien did is pretty amazing, and the world and all of the details is what enchanted me about this whole thing. It made my nerd heart beat a little bit faster. The languages, the different races, the history, the maps, it's beyond belief. I'm amazed that one person came up with all of that, and it was really cool to finally get to immerse myself in this world after hearing so many things about it for so long from so many people. However, here we go. We are talking about a book that came out over 60 years ago, and it shows. I do think it has aged. Like I said, the world and all of its ingenious, clever details and the history behind it is mind-blowing. But the way the story is told isn't. I think the narrative leaves a lot to be desired. Some passages seem to go on endlessly without any clear reason for them to, while other passages, which were supposed to be exciting and suspenseful, seem to go by like that. And that took the suspense and the excitement out of the story a bit for me. It made me feel a little dissatisfied at times. It also meant that I couldn't read more than one chapter most of the time, because I just lost my focus after that one chapter, or I even got a little bit bored. There were a few chapters that had me really excited and kept me turning the pages because I wanted to read on, but there were not that many of those. And that's why I think the film is better. Yikes, I just said that. Is that blasphemy on BookTube? But yes, I think the film is better than the book. I think this is the most perfect adaptation of a book I have ever seen. And I also think it's one of the best films I've ever seen. Like I said, I watched it yesterday together with that friend I talked about and my boyfriend, and I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. And that's 2 hours and 58 minutes. First of all, I can't believe that this film is almost 20 years old. It holds up completely. Usually when you see a fantasy or sci-fi or other type of not real film that's already a little bit older, it looks a bit fake, and it can even be a bit cringe-worthy because of the old CGI. Back in those days we thought it was really well done, but now it just doesn't hold up anymore because the technology has improved so much. But that isn't true for The Fellowship of the Ring at all, I think. To me it just looked perfect the entire way through. There was not one single moment where I thought, well, that looks fake. Middle-earth truly comes alive in this film. The rolling hills of the Shire, the wastelands and the misty mountains, they found the perfect locations for all of these places. It all looked so amazing and so otherworldly. Well, I think it was filmed in New Zealand, right? So it's definitely in this world. And can we talk about Rivendell and Lothlorien? Wow. While I was watching those scenes, I just kept thinking about how cool must it be to be an art director or simply the director on this film and see those places come alive. Tolkien provides some pretty elaborate descriptions for these places in his book, and while I was reading it I tried to picture them in my mind, and I did see something in my mind, but it was hard to imagine it completely because of all the details he provides and the sense of splendor and otherworldliness. But then I saw the film and it just made it all happen. Every single one of the sets completely defied my expectations. But what truly made this film so much better than the book for me was that it was so action-packed. The pacing was just right. A lot of things happen in the book, but like I said, to me they weren't written down in a way that made them seem exciting all of the time. But the film had me engrossed all the way through, even though I mostly knew what was going to happen because I had just read the book. Stuff just keeps happening and it was exciting all the way through. I was exhausted after the film was done. I also think the characters, who I haven't even talked about yet, were perfectly cast. Ian McKellen is a magnificent Gandalf. The way he can put a whole range of emotions in just a single glance at Frodo, that's amazing. I still think he should have been cast as Dumbledore after the death of Richard Harris. He would have been perfect. He would have said calmly, "Harry, did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire?" That's for sure. Anyway, Viggo Mortensen and Sean Bean are really well cast as Aragorn and Boromir as well, I think. I really love them. And I think Cate Blanchett is the perfect Galadriel. Her low voice, which is explicitly stated in the book, and just that dreamy vibe she has was amazing. And she was pretty scary as well. The only one I wasn't really looking forward to seeing in the film beforehand was Elijah Wood as Frodo. In the book, Frodo is a lot older than he seems to be in the film. I think the book starts when he is 32 and they don't go on the journey for much later. I think he might even have been almost 50. And I know too that in the book it is emphasized that he looks much younger than he is. But I didn't think he looked like a wide-eyed teenager, which is a little what Elijah Wood looked like to me in the pictures and stuff I had seen of the film and I remembered of the film. So I was a little apprehensive about that going in, because that is not how I pictured Frodo. But it didn't bother me at all during the film. Yes, Elijah Wood looks young as Frodo, but he still felt like Frodo to me. So what is the conclusion of this rambling mess? Good question. Phenomenal story, good book, magnificent film. And now after having seen the film I'm really excited to keep reading and keep watching the films, because after finishing reading Fellowship of the Ring I was a little Lord of the Rings weary, to be honest. I thought, well, I'm going to take some time before I continue with the next book, but the film has me all excited and back on track again. So that was it from me. I'm really curious to know what you think. I know a lot of people have read Lord of the Rings and some people love it and other people are more meh about it or perhaps even don't like it. So what do you think? Have you read the books? Did you see the films? Which ones did you prefer? Which one is your favorite? I would love to hear it all. Please remember to not put any spoilers in the comments though, because I still have 2 books to go. Thanks so much for watching, I really appreciate it. If you like this video, please give it a like, and if you'd like to see more of me, I would love it if you'd subscribe to my channel. You can also find me on social media, I'll put the links down below. Anyway, have a great day. Bye!